I've got a great story to share with you right ahead on Pastor Bob's Coffee Break. It's our mug of the month. I love this one. Embrace the grace. Look at that. It's wonderful. It is a mug, and it's our free download poster, and it's a t-shirt. And of course, we're drinking a little bit of our new blend this morning. Holy Cacao. There it is, with cacao beans in it from the Amazon rainforest. So good. This is awesome. And if you haven't heard, we are now carrying the 2-pound bags. I know, of our ground coffee. Soon we'll be going to this with all of our coffee. Whole lot cheaper, same shipping. This makes better sense for everybody. So that, and we got a lot of swag. You ought to check it out right here. WeAreMetalWeAreFamily.com. Dear Pastor Bob, your podcast yesterday about Embrace the Grace was inspiring. But that's easier said than done. To actually bring yourself to that point in your life is the most difficult thing. I never seem to get there. What am I doing wrong? Well, we started this yesterday, and we talked about embrace the grace, that God's grace, His agape love was free, and it's for all of us. And it's the one thing that we need to embrace as a Christian and realize that it is our foundation. Embrace the grace. Well, it's a hard thing to understand, and it's a really difficult thing, especially with the world around us. We don't get much grace anywhere else. And it's not the way people operate. It's not the way anyone around us operates. We don't have a role model to look at when we want to look at agape, unconditional love, and grace from God. So Jesus told the story. It's a great story. In the Bible, they're called parables, but they were used actually to illustrate things that were difficult to understand. And he did it in such a way that he captured his audience. And I want to read you the story that he told, and then I want to talk a little bit about why it was so profound for his audience and for you. And it's found in Luke chapter 15, and starting with verse 11. I'm going to read today from the Message commentary, because it really, the commentary actually reads more like a story. And it's a little easier for our international audience to understand, especially those whose first language isn't English. And so we'll read it from there today. Then he said, there was once a man who had 2 sons. The younger said to his father, Father, I want right now what's coming to me. Now, that first of all was something that wasn't done. You never got your inheritance and early like that, and especially to take it and go. You would take care of your family first. So the father divided the property between them. It wasn't long before the younger son packed his bags and left for a distant country. Wouldn't have happened. Again, that feeling of owing your family and taking care of your family was there. Even if you got your inheritance early, you would have stayed and taken care of your father until he's gone. But there he went to another country, a distant country. And there, undisciplined and dissipated, he wasted everything he had. And after he had gone through all of his money, there was a bad famine in all of that country, and he began to feel it. So he squanders, and it was a lot of money, he squanders all this money that his father had worked so hard to make. He signed on with a citizen there who assigned him to the fields to slop the pigs, to feed the pigs. He was so hungry he would have eaten the corn cobs and the pig slop, but no one would give him any. Now, this was also offensive to the people that were listening to this. They didn't eat pigs, they didn't eat pork. What a horrible thing to actually take care of these dirty animals. It was the worst job you could have had. And that brought him to his senses. He said, all of these farm hands working for my father sit down to 3 meals a day, and here I am starving to death. I'm going to go back to my father. I'll say to him, Father, I've sinned against God, I've sinned against you. I don't deserve to be called your son. Take me on as a hired hand. And he got right up and went to his father. Good plan. Why did he make the plan? Well, because he was hungry and he realized that he didn't have any other options. Yeah. And when he was still a long way off, his father saw him. Now, his father saw him, why? Because he was looking for him. I love that part. His father saw him. He was looking for him, he was waiting for him, he missed him. His heart pounding, he ran out and embraced him and kissed him. Now, also, older men didn't run. It was considered very undignified for them to run. But this father runs and embraces him and kisses him. This is the son that went off and squandered all the money. This is the son that is coming and smells like pigs. This is the son that isn't doing very well. And the son started his speech. Father, I've sinned against God, I've sinned against you, but I don't deserve to be called your son ever again. But the father wasn't listening. It wasn't the point. It had nothing to do with what was going on. And the father knew that his son was prodigal. He knew that his son had come home because there was no other options. He wasn't sitting in wealth and everything going well and thinking, I really need to go home and take care of my dad. No. He was thinking, I need some food. I need to, So it didn't have to do with that. So he starts to give this well-rehearsed speech, and the father isn't listening. And the father calls to his servants, quick, bring a clean set of clothes and dress him. Put the family ring on his finger. Wow. And sandals on his feet. Then get a prize-winning heifer, cow, and roast it. We're going to a feast. We're going to have a wonderful time. My son here, given up for dead, is now alive. Given up for lost is now found. And they begin to have a wonderful time. Well, that was all great, except what about the other brother? It says all of this time, his older brother was out in the field, and when the day's work was done, he came in. He approached the house, he heard the music and dancing. Calling over one of the houseboys, he asked what was going on, and he told him, your brother came home. Your father has ordered a feast, barbecued beef, because he's come home safe and sound. And the older brother stomped off in an angry sulk and refused to join in. His father came out and tried to talk to him, but he wouldn't listen. The son said, look, Look how many years I've stayed here serving you, never giving you one moment of grief. I've done what I was supposed to do, but have you ever thrown a party for me and my friends? And then this son of yours who has thrown away your money on whores and shows, and he shows up and you give him a feast. His father said, son, you don't understand. You're with me all the time, and everything that is mine is yours. But this is a wonderful time, and we had to celebrate. This brother of yours was dead, and he's alive. He was lost, and he's found. A lot of Christians around us that say, well, I'm such a better person than this person. How can God have as much favor for him as he has for me? I've deserved it more. I've told the line more. I haven't been guilty of all the stuff that this other person has gotten to get away with, as if that's the preferred life. It isn't. Brings a lot of unhappiness. Father's basically saying, you've been here where you've been able to establish a happy life. Your brother's thrown it all away, but let's give him some grace. Let's love him unconditionally. The one thing that catches my eye with this story, and I was reminded of this actually yesterday when a friend sent me a little note that had this on it, actually, in this question. And it was what I had planned to talk about. And it said, are you still drafting your speech? I like that. Are you still drafting your speech? Are you still rehearsing what I'm going to say to God because I've messed up so much? Are you still trying to say just the right words that God will hear and accept? And I love this example that Jesus uses here. He says, but the Father wasn't listening. He gives this great speech. He's rehearsed it all the way home, and he was in a distant country. And the Father wasn't listening. It wasn't on his mind. He didn't care. He was happy to have him home, and his unconditional love for his son took over. He didn't need to hear the speech. He had already accepted him. And folks, that is what grace is all about. He's already accepted you. Isn't that good news? That's the whole point. He's already accepted you. And when we come to him and we say, Lord, I've sinned against heaven, and I no longer should be called to your son, and we go through this whole thing, groveling, and God says, oh, did you say something? Because it isn't the point. He said, I love you no matter what. That's what grace is. Unmerited favor. You don't earn it. If it's a gift, then why are you trying to keep earning the grace? Why do you try to keep earning his love when he's already given it to you? You see, this is the hardest thing for all of us. I go through this too. Because we don't have this kind of love around us. There is some performance necessary. And with God, he says, the performance that I want is for you to invite me into your life. For you to ask me to forgive your sins. And when you do that, he says, I'm standing at the door, I'm knocking, and I will come in. You just have to open up the door. And when you do, I will give you my unmerited favor, my grace, my unconditional love, agape. Well, that's the best, isn't it? I love this parable, this story, because it illustrates me and it illustrates you. Folks, don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.